Today,
I want to talk to you about not just dancing, but feeling the music. What you feel in the music is what makes you dance.
exactly, and today por tango. Hi, this is Guillermo Guillen for FlamencoMAPS. Welcome to my channel. Whether you dance flamenco, you sing, you play guitar, you play palmas, you play cajon, one of the first palos you learn is usually tango. This is because the Tango Compás is based on a 4-beat cycle, which is considered easier because it feels intuitive and natural. Don't be fooled though. This compass seems easy, but it's often overlooked, and bringing it to life with the right groove and the right soniquete is not as simple as it seems. And it comes with its own challenges. It's short and resets very often, every 4 beats. Its regular and evenly distributed accents can make it surprisingly easy to lose track of where we are in the compass. And then, despite its basic structure that persists across eras and genres, there are many ways to feel and express it, depending on many different things like your musical culture and background and what you do or what instrument you play. Palmas and cajon patterns, for instance, vary significantly while following the same compass. So this Tango Compás, for many reasons we'll explore today, is far more interesting than you think. And understanding its essence beyond stylistic differences will help you practice it more effectively, feel it more deeply, and bring it to life with as much soniquete as possible. After this video, you'll never sing, dance, play guitar, palmas, or cajon por tango the same way again.
I want you to start by learning where the beat is.
Most people find a 2-beat or 4-beat cycle more intuitive than a cycle of 5, 7, 9, or 12 beats, for example. And this probably relates to our bipedal nature. It feels easy and natural to dance or even walk on a 2 or 4-beat cycle. That's the reason why 4-beat or 4/4 time signature is likely the most common rhythmic cycle across most musical cultures. And it's no coincidence that in Western music it's often called common time. In general, we are very accustomed to even numbers, especially 4 in music. And this applies not only to the number of beats in a compass, but also on a larger scale. Songs, musical pieces, chord progressions are often built on sequences of 4 something.
4 fois par jour.
In flamenco, we use a lot the Andalusian cadence that has 4 steps, 4, 3, 2, 1, that I explain in detail in this video. And this cadence por tango perfectly fits this system where everything feels squared and natural. A progression of 4 chords that unfold over 4 compasses of 4 beats each. More squared than that, difficult to find. What is fascinating is that while the 4-beat cycle feels natural in most musical cultures, it can feel natural in very different and sometimes seemingly opposing ways.
We are taught in 4/4 time that the dominant beat is on 1 and 3. Our band directors, our choir directors, our orchestra directors start us off how? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now that is the European dominant beat.
It is true that, for example, Western and European classical music typically emphasizes beats 1 and 3. Many other cultures, like many African and Afro-American musical traditions, such as jazz, swing, blues.
It's 2 and 4 that happens. It's 2 and 4 that swings.
For Africans and African Americans, it is not 1 and 3, it is 2 and 4. I don't even have to teach you. Y'all just listen to black people clap to this song. Glory, glory. Hallelujah. You are clapping on beats 2 and 4. If you got some white friends, they'll be clapping like this.
It means that your natural sense of rhythm, the way you spontaneously clap or dance to a 4-beat rhythm, is shaped by your cultural background and your musical exposure. Expressing rhythm appropriately depends on the musical and cultural context that provides a framework. And within this framework, we have to apply specific rhythmic rules. While Lindy Hop dancers often mark 2 and 4, flamenco dancers usually strongly accentuate 1 and 3. It might sometimes feel like you have to choose between emphasizing 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. But in a 4-beat cycle, we need all 4 beats. They all play essential roles. No approach is inherently right or wrong. Emphasizing beats 1 and 3 might be corny in a specific context.
1, 3, 1. It's called corny. Corny.
But this doesn't apply universally to all music styles. Rather than being in opposition, they interact, they work together, and they complement each other. So Tango Compás itself is a great example of how different musical traditions can come together. So let's explore now this cycle in the flamenco context. The 4-beat rhythmic cycle in flamenco appears in many palos, such as tiento, taranto para baile, farruca, garrotín, colombiana, mariana, rumba, tanguillo, and of course tango. The concepts I will explain today apply to most 4-beat palos, but for clarity today we'll focus on Tango Compás. When we learn the Tango Compás, we are typically taught that it's in 4 beats and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we often hear things like the first beat is empty or is silent. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We also hear that the accents are on beat 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, but no. This describes a possible Palmas pattern, and in my opinion, a shaky one, but it doesn't explain the compás itself. As I've already explained here, we must not confuse a Palmas pattern with the compás itself. The compás is the set of rhythmic rules, a framework, while a Palmas pattern is one possible way to express that compás. Of course, a pattern must relate to the compás to sound right, but while the rules of a compás remain constant, there is an infinity of possible patterns. So we need to take a step back and examine how this rhythmic cycle works beyond musical genres, styles, and Palmas patterns. And to do that, we need to count a bit and use numbers. And I know that there are many people allergic to numbers. I'm sure you've heard that you shouldn't count at all, that it ruins the sonicete or the feel of the music. I have to make a whole video on this, but here is what I think in short. Numbers are not music or rhythm. They are just tools like handles on a suitcase. They are not the suitcase or its content, but they make handling it a lot easier. Numbers and counting properly help build a strong foundation for efficient practice and quicker internalization. So it's worth a try, right? Counting is just one step on the journey, the goal being not to get stuck on the numbers, but to eventually move beyond them. Use them until you don't need them anymore. So we'll be talking numbers here. We'll count the compás and we'll count it in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you've been taught that it's in 8 beats, especially if you are a dancer. It makes sense because many elements occur in pairs of 4-beat compasses. Like the typical guitar compás por tango, that is a half cadence, only 2 chords that covers 2 compasses. 1, 2, 1, 2. However, guitar and mostly cante elements don't always fit into pairs. And after all, 8 beats, it's just 2 times 4, right? So I think it's safer to stick with 4 beats compasses. It allows us to be more flexible and responsive. And anyways, I don't have 8 beat Legos. So the minimum tango cycle is a 4-beat blue Lego that you might also find it interesting to visualize as 2 yellow Legos. You'll understand why in a bit. So let's dig a bit deeper and see how everything works together. When discussing a specific compass, we usually explain the number of beats and the number and the placement of the accents. But here, rather than accents, I'll talk about weight, about peso. This compass is a dynamic sequence with a very specific weight distribution, with heavy beats and light beats. Beats 1 and 3 are the 2 pillars of this compass. They are grounded, they are connected to the earth, la tierra. You can experience this directly by walking and thinking of the moments when your feet touch the ground as beats 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left and right, left and right. These beats are stable. We can always start from or stop on a foot on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And it's not a coincidence that these are the beats that dancers usually emphasize in marcajes, in marking steps. I call beats 2 and 4 the light beats because they move in the air and give the compass its drive and momentum. Again, imagine that you are walking. Beats 2 and 4 correspond to the push that propels you forward, the moment when you really move forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. They are not stable and you couldn't stop walking on 2 or 4 because you need to land somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The light beats create a sense of gravity and anticipation, acting as a recurring pickup every 2 beats, each time leading us to land on the next heavy beat, either 1 or 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. In marcajes, the light beats are when dancers often lift their feet or arms and prepare for the landing on the heavy beats. So we have 2 pairs of beats, 1 and 3, 2 and 4, and they work like pistons of an engine. This push and pull effect keeps the music moving forward. And this dynamic is consistent regardless of the tempo.
Whatever the tempo is. When the music starts, first feel the beat.
There is kind of the same concept in many popular music genres where the 4-beat is king, like rock, hip-hop, pop music, where beats 1 and 3 are known as the downbeats, typically played on the kick drum, and beats 2 and 4 are the backbeats, usually played on the snare drum.
The backbeat, or it's always a backbeat, which goes on
1, 2.
That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that backbeat, which is on all the Beatles records, on all the Rolling Stones records, on all the Motown records, all the jazz records, all the way up through the Billy Cobham records. And they've all got the backbeat.
On 2 and 4.
On 2 and 4.
Quick parenthesis here. It's interesting to consider this cycle as having only 2 beats and 2 offbeats or upbeats or contras, where the beats are heavy and the contras are light. And this is how it feels. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. It's not wrong at all to count like this, but just know that you are not counting the beats, you are counting something else. We are not counting the real compass, we are counting the ground level, another parallel, slower pulse. I explain this here, so don't be confused. When executed well, even the simplest Palmas pattern for tango perfectly captures these dynamics. Most traditional Palmas patterns are just variations of this fundamental blueprint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, Many people actually struggle to play basic palmas por tango with a nice soniquete because they lack an understanding of these dynamics and they fail to apply them. Very often the basic pattern is explained with no foot at all, just 3 palmas on 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Always remember that good palmas and a solid sense of compass involve the foot, at least in the practice phase. Without the foot or without using it properly, the feel of the compass becomes weak, compromising the basic soniquete. Think of the foot as the kick drum of your drum set and the palmas as the snare drum. You need them both to achieve a good synergy between downbeats and backbeats. As you now understand, accented palmas are not the same as the accents of the compass itself. However, maintaining consistency with these accented palmas on 2 and 4 is crucial for giving the pattern its soniquete. So keep a nice and consistent foot on 1 and 3 and accented palmas on 2 and 4 without letting the second palma on beat 3 fade away, because this is another typical problem, but we'll talk about all this in another video. Listen to the difference between this and this. Remember these dynamics in all your palmas pattern and you'll have automatically much more soniquete. So many things to talk about. Another day we'll talk about palmas and another day we'll talk about cajon, because the cajon patterns are so interesting. The cajon is socially, culturally, musically fascinating. It blends African, South American, Caribbean influences and everything infuses the cajon patterns por tango. The guitar patterns are also very interesting because as often it can express 2 levels at the same time. In this basic pattern, the complementarity of heavy beats and light beats is very clear, with the golpes on 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the strumming of the chords accenting 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, everything together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can divide this blue Lego into 2 yellow Legos. And both Legos share the same structure and dynamics. Each has a light beat leading to the next heavy beat. Because they have the same structure and can share the same intention, sometimes we can't really distinguish between beats 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. 1 and 3 feel very similar and 2 and 4 feel very similar. And this happens in many marcajes, when 1 and 3 are just the same movement with the same peso. Or this very common palmas pattern. This pattern uses small rhythmic cells when the 2 lands on 3 and the 4 results on 1. 2 and 3, 4 and 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 1. So the question is, if beat 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 share similar roles, why don't we use just 1 2-beat Lego? In some palos like Zambra or Taranto para baile, we don't always use the full 4-beat cycle, but we use half compasses of 2 beats. In those palos, it's essential to think in terms of yellow Legos. We'll talk about this in another episode. So using the whole 4-beat cycle implies a few things. It influences the structure and the length of various elements. And most importantly, it suggests that while beat 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 share a similar directional role, they have subtle differences in their intentions. The 1 is the first beat of the compass, so each time it marks a new beginning, and it carries the most weight. This is why dancer, again in marcajes, can choose to emphasize only the 1 without necessarily highlighting the 3. But the other way around, marking only the 3 without the 1, maybe it exists, but it's not common at all. Same thing with many things on the guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or the golpe only on 1 here. 1. The result when you choose to mark only the 1 is that it feels even heavier. With the same logic, often the most accented palma is the one on beat 4 more than the one on beat 2 because it helps reset the whole cycle. It creates a pickup to land again on 1. Traditionally, por tangos, things either start on 1, and many times, if it doesn't start on 1, it lands on 1 after a pickup. The second heavy beat, the 3, I told you, is never really emphasized on its own without the 1, but it's the second pillar. And it has another possible function. It often works as a response or a conclusion. Traditional closing or cierre por tangos and most 4-beat palos in flamenco land on 3. There are exceptions, as always. This is for another time. A cierre closes on 3 and then we breathe on 4 and then we start again on 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we start again. Oh. The basic sequence of llamada y cierre por tango completely follows this sequence. I explained this in another episode. I know there is a lot of confusion about the cierres in the different 4-beat palos, tiento, tango, taranto, whether they close on 1, on 3, on 4, the numbers are never the same. This usually happens when you count in ways that don't align well with the dynamics we've discussed today. We'll also have to clear up these misunderstandings another time. When Don Hampton says,
I see a lot of you do a lot of steps. The steps are wonderful, but the beat is over there. So I want to get you with the beat.
I understand that she emphasizes the importance of connecting with the fundamental organic feel of the rhythm before going into more complexity and fancy variations. It's crucial to understand, learn, and feel the traditional language and the reasons behind why and how it works. Of course, nowadays there is much more complex material and anything can pretty much happen anywhere on the compass, like the closings on 4, which are very trendy these days. These shifts represent an evolution in the feel of the compass and the material. But even though everything evolves, it all starts from this foundational understanding. This is why it's so important to get accustomed to the traditional vocabulary. I can't insist enough on this. So with all this in mind, now engage your ears and body and guitar and palmas actively to internalize the compass on a deeper and more authentic, connected, grounded level. From now on, when you listen to tango or any music with a 4-beat structure, Just immerse yourself in these dynamics. Clap along, walk to the beat while listening to music on the street, and practice a lot with this new understanding. And soon you'll discover a completely new rhythmic world. And I know you can do it.
And it won't take you long. It won't take you as long as most of you think, because I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I cannot instill that in you enough. You can do it. You can do it. All you have to do is feel the beat. God bless you.